As gaming addiction has claimed lives of many across the country, a study has now found that smartphone addiction is to blame for a spike in mental health and behavioral issues among children. A survey that was done by the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights has found that more than 20% of the children that are aged between 8 to 18 use smartphones in bed before going to sleep. And this has led to several physical and behavioral issues like sleeplessness, attention deficit, anxiety, and tiredness. Not just this, nearly 40% have also experienced reduced level of concentration due to excessive smartphone usage. To actually speak more about this, I am now joined on the broadcast by the guests who are joining me right here on Mirror Now. Akshata Raj, who is a class 10 student at the public school in Sushant Lok in Gurgaon, joins me on Mirror Now. Also, Pradeep Rawat, who's the founder of Gurgaon Parents Association, is joining me right here on the broadcast. Mr. Rawat, I'll actually begin with you right now. Since as a concerned parent, I'd ask you this, that this lockdown has actually increased the dependence of online medium for our children. So that aside, do you think this has really accelerated the excessive reliance on these smart gadgets for children, for any and everything? They just go ahead, because right now online learning is everything. It's not just about the classes that these guys were doing when it comes to the virtual mode. Even e-learning has become like a thing which has been amply promoted by various social media influencers and actors themselves.
See, there are basically a lot of points to be discussed before we get into the fact that what we are supposed to do and what we are not supposed to do. Basically, what happened was right when the corona struck and the country was in a complete lockdown. In fact, the whole world was in complete lockdown. We were the ones who gave the mobile phones and internet into the young hands of our children. So partly we are to be blamed, but we have to understand also that yes, internet was a kind of a thing which was supposed to happen. It was going on a normal pace. Suddenly, because of the corona epidemic, every hand, every children, every child, school-going children had a mobile phone in his hand. Now, after that, what happened was, when classes started happening on mobile phones or laptops, children initially were very, not very apprehensive, or rather very apprehensive and not very interested in doing online classes. But because of the condition and the restraints, they got into the mobile phone mode. And once it happens, see, basically, it's a kind of a bane and a boon as well. Once you get something as powerful as the internet on your own hand of a small child who doesn't know much about the benefits or the losses or the pros and the cons of the mobile phone system, then they started getting addicted to it also. And see, before initially this epidemic, even the schools, even the parents, they never used to allow children to have mobile phones in their hands. And even if they used to, it was only for a mere few minutes and hours. Now, a part blame has come to the parents as well. Myself being a parent, we have to understand this also, that once we gave this mobile phone into hands of a small child, we had to keep a track of it. Did we do what we are supposed to do? Now, this thing has led to not only the mental problems, eyes issues, health problems. Moreover, children have become so kind of not outgoing, that they have made a world around the mobile phone itself. They believe everything, friend, family, everything is there in the mobile phone, and this has led to many problems. Now, suddenly, government has asked them to go for offline examinations. They have no practice of even writing, so how can even they go for boards or the examinations? This is the issue. I've been literally in touch with the students all over India, and they keep asking how suddenly we are out of practice. We have no idea how to write. And for the last 2 years, we were doing online classes, and the quality of education, because of the internet, you also know. So not only the mental problems, health problems, even children are basically scared of even writing also. They have lost the writing skills also. So we have to find a way out, that we give mobile phones to our children. Yes, that is necessary also in endemic or pandemic times, but we have to take the responsibility as a parent as well. I don't blame everybody else. We are responsible too.
Yes, Pradeep. In fact, very, very important, pertinent things that you have actually put forth right here on the broadcast. Actually, to talk about the cons of excessive screen time, I'm also joined on the broadcast by Dr. Rahul Bhargav, who's the principal director at Fortis Hospital in Gurgaon. Dr. Bhargav, we heard a concerned parent right here. First of all, first things first, data aside, what are the cons of excessive screen time for our children? Because we are not just talking about tiredness, we are talking about, excessive sleep disorder, and, all of these things are actually coming to light when it comes to impacting the health and the mental health also of children. So this is something that is a must, that needs to be actually brought forth so that we understand how this is becoming absolutely detrimental for not just our children, but also for people in general.
Hit the nail at the point, at the head. Important things first. Let's divide this into a problems of mental health versus physical health. If you talk about physical health and excessive being hooked to the computers or the mobile system, it has led to the deterioration in the eyesights of the people, of the kids. As we have seen, there has been a 25 to 30% increase in past 2 years in terms of refractory errorness, which people and kids have started experiencing it. One. Second problem is of the spinal and dysmorphism in terms of spinal postures, which they have been sitting across long periods during in front of internet or into hooked to the computers or the mobile system, which has led to the problems in the spine and the spinal pain, which has increased. If you see the data within Gurugram itself, for the physiotherapy consultation for the children, which was never a scenario before, which was rare to heard of, 40% increase in the physiotherapy consultations for the kids, and that too for the cervical and the lumbosacral region. And the reason is the inadequate posture or the wrong postures which they have been sitting for a long time. Very, very concerning. And third, the major point is the obesity and that the snacks which they have been eating throughout by getting hooked because it didn't have any physical activity to do. In past 2 years, the obesity has increased by huge leaps and bounds, and that's why if you see a campaign has been launched to know what kind of a food stuff which we have, how much junk in terms of sugars and the fats which we are eating by having all these chips is leading to a problem. And the biggest problem is, of course, the mental health. As we have spoken about, the concerned parents have talked about, the whole developmental cycle of the kids have gone for a toss. Their physical interaction within the schools, their interaction of mental development has taken a back seat. They have not been able to develop the mental faculties. And of course, while they're going for the exams, their habit of writing and the kind of a writing skills which they've been having has been lost. So I think it's an overall developmental problem which the kids are facing, where the schools would have been opened first. Unfortunate part of this country is that we have opened liquor shops before the schools were opened up. And that's why in these 2 years, the schools have been the last to open, which has led to a decade-long problem for the kids. Believe me, this will take a decade to fulfill these 2 years, what they have lost in these 2 years.
Absolutely. And Dr. Bhargav, in fact, I am, right now, Akshata is with us on the broadcast. She is the class 10 student. Akshata, let's leave the data aside. I'd ask you this first. When did you actually receive your first smartphone in your hands? When did your parents allow you to have a phone?
My parents actually gave me my phone in grade 8, like during the end when I had my final exams, because it was really hard for me to go through these, because teachers used to call and there were a lot of information that you need from phone these days. You actually cannot do everything offline. Yeah. So
Akshata, you heard Dr. Bhargav over there. Now, do you experience something similar? Because this lockdown has been really, really hard on you students, and you are at a very, very crucial class. We're talking about board examination over there.
Yes.
How badly did it impact you? And, did you actually notice any difference in the concentration levels when you were studying through these online modes, through your phones, while you were doing physical classes? Was there a difference that you actually noticed?
Yes, ma'am. So there are a lot of points I'd like to say. Like, one would be that I really lost my concentration a lot. I got into music and playing games and all those stuff. But as you can see, I improved in my studies, but online classes actually reduced the concentration level of every single student present in the school. Physical classes have been way better. I just came from school. It was way better. We learned a lot of things. But as you can see, in online education, we did not actually used to do all the classes. I myself did not do all the classes. I used to skip them. I did not like them. The teachers weren't good for me. Yeah, so that's what I think that, like mean to say that like smartphones have really been super addictive for everyone. Sleeplessness has been one problem. Like I had that for at least 2 to 3 months. Like I was not able to sleep. I used to sleep at 1 a.m. I used to sleep at 12 a.m. And people used to get anxiety.
Right, right. Akshata and our other guests, please stay on with me. I'm joined on the broadcast by my colleague Disha Shah, who is also with a few concerned parents. Let's quickly cut across to Disha. Yes, Disha, we were discussing this, very, very important aspect that we are, having as far as on the channel about the excessive smartphone usage, the excessive screen time that all the children, are prone to these days, and the kind of detrimental impact that this will lead to. You have parents with you. What are they saying about this particular data that's just released, and what are the kinds of changes that they have seen in their children when it comes to the smartphone usage?
Well, certainly, as you have rightly pointed out, the data suggests some really startling figures out here. At least 24% of children use their smartphones while they are in bed before going to sleep, and as far as 37% of children have seen reduced level of concentrations due to the excessive use of smartphone, and that only increases with more and more usage. And now I have with me some concerned parents. We will talk to them about, because pandemic has made things really worse. Your child was home for last 2 years, due to the online schooling. What were the issues that you really faced with your child at that point? How difficult it was to control your child using smartphone or not using a smartphone?
So yes, it was very difficult because both we parents and our children were home, and all of us were using internet, and it used to get difficult for us to control our child's online activities because बहुत बार बच्चे हमें academics पे के नाम पे हमें बताते थे कि they are doing some work on their gadgets in the night time, but they were probably playing some games or doing some other activities is something that is not known to us. But ever since responsible netism conducted these amazing sessions about cyber safety in my child's school, we learned as parents that अगर हमें बच्चों को गैजेट देना आता है तो हमें बच्चों से गैजेट लेना भी आना चाहिए. This is a very important thing, and also as parents we need to understand the kind of games that children play online need to be age appropriate. So as parents, we need to know what are the kinds of games that children play and whether they are absolutely meant for their age or not. Also, often our children, they refuse to go out and play, with other children. They prefer to be online, they prefer to chat online, and they're often also bullied online. So, children get into some kind of a depression and there's absolutely no communication. So with these sessions, what we learned was effective day-to-day communication with our children is very, very important for every parent, and only then hopefully someday our children will open up and talk to us about what exactly they're doing online, and if they are in some kind of trouble, we are the ones, they should know that we are the ones who can reach out to them and help them.
Sure. We also have another parent with us. So what were the issues that you faced with your child? Because, pandemic has also increased the dependency on the smartphones that, all of us use. But most importantly, if children use it more, it's definitely a lot riskier and a lot dangerous as well.
Exactly. So the main problem is like everything on the school is on mobile phone, right? They are sending the assignment, they are sending the content, sessions, lectures. And the problem is like on mobile phone, you keep on getting these notifications, right? Okay, so you get a notification from YouTube, Instagram, some other social media application, and it's really easy for them to get distracted from the actual school, actual work they are doing, and within few minutes you see like they are doing something else. So that was the first challenge, to make sure they concentrate on their work, because the device which we gave them is for the learning purpose. So we even started to implement some of the tools, because myself is a techie, I'm from a computer engineering background. So we installed some tools on the phone, so which will record them, or which will try to figure out like where exactly they are spending the time. But the issue is like when we started recording and we started asking them like why exactly you are spending time on this application, so it started creating a problem with them. Like if you try to take away a device from them, like they suddenly start feeling like okay, it's over controlling, and they used to get very upset about this thing. So first thing we have to understand their mentality as well. It's not something that their fault, but all these applications, all these social media things which are available, they are creating a problem for them.
Right.
So that's the main challenge, and that's what we started to learn.
Right, very
Heard the
interesting
parents here,
aspects
but
that are
one
coming to
last
fore from this
person I really
session,
want to
Disha. I'd just like to take this I'm sorry I'm interrupting you here. I'd just like to take this to Dr. Bhargav, who is also with me on the broadcast. Dr. Bhargav, we heard up the parents over there. Do you think it is that simple, or probably is this doable to monitor the content that our children are actually watching online? And do you think that policing can be done despite the openness that has been there with the reliance with the online medium when it comes to studies that the children are actually going ahead and doing?
Would be that it is next to impossible to police the kids at this present moment of time. At what kind of a content which they're doing, you can have child locks, you can have sophisticated gadgets, you can have sophisticated programming to know what kind of a things they are doing. But do you think that in a real life world, me as a parent, half of the time, if it goes in knowing what your kids are doing, then what will be the quality of life which we will have? What kind of a trust-based society we are developing? So more important thing is right now, during the formidable
Right,
years of till
absolutely.
12,
So quickly,
the
actually,
more
before I
important
wrap
thing
up this
is
conversation, I will open the floor to also Mr. Rawat and also Akshita. What do you think is the solution? If you have to say one sentence each on the solution, where do you see this going? And how do you actually see that your children are not really prone to these kind of illnesses that we have just laid down for our viewers?
Ones who initiated or kind of started this problem. We either as a parent or as a government, we are the ones who gave this immense powerful tool in the hands of children. So what we can do now, I totally agree with Dr. Saab that we cannot take away the instrument just from their hands as instantly as possible. What we can do is we can guide them, we can help them, we can make them understand that addiction of anything, too much of anything is bad. And if we are the ones who gave them this kind of mobile phone addiction, what we can do is we can again focus
Right.
on family values. We can spend good quality time with them. We can make them understand the good things about it. And I'll take just 1 minute. Basically, almost students from all over India have been writing to me and asking me to say, since suddenly after the online classes of 2 years, they've been asked to give offline board examinations or G examinations without any preparation. So what they are asking is give them time to prepare, give them time to understand, and then allow them to move from online to offline mode, because it doesn't happen in a day.
Absolutely,
It is
because
a habit
after
of
all,
two
this
years.
is our children that we are talking about, and we have to ensure that excess of anything is bad. Very rightly said there by Pradeep Rawat over there, and all my guests. Thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast. Very important discussion that we are having on the aftermath of this addiction to phone and the kind of screen time that our children have been subject to, and what really and how really is this impacting their health, not just physical but also their mental health.